It was the first game for Doncic since Christmas Day. He had been sidelined with a strained calf muscle. Doncic was in the starting lineup. In 24 minutes, he contributed 14 points and 4 assists. When Doncic gets in shape and loses a few pounds, Lakers Nation will see his true value. The Lakers have won 6 straight and 10 of their last 11 games. The Charlotte Hornets have asked the NBA to investigate the Lakers' physical exam of Hornets center Mark Williams. Williams failed the physical after he was acquired by the Lakers in a trade last week. The NBA rescinded the trade on Saturday, sending all players involved in the deal back to their original teams. Stay tuned on this situation. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Places, everyone.
What's going on?
Gergs, we know that you're mad at yourself for not singing for Cy, but you shouldn't care what he thinks about you. If you care about what anybody thinks, it should be us, your friends. And we would like to hear you sing.
You do? Well, this is all so lovely, but I don't know what I would even... Maybe this camouflage finale in B flat and try to keep up. My friends, my lovers, my entourage. This hurts, this smothers, this camouflage. So I'm making a push to not look like a bush. We were thick as thieves, but I don't wanna be leaves. You may think it's mean, but I need to be seen. So I'm gonna be seen.
She wants to be seen, and now for the rest of the hour, she's going to be heard, seen and heard, I should say, because she's in studio. Lacretta is here to talk about her breakout role as Gergs on the reboot of Night Court, her path from Broadway to television. And little birdie told me how Legos and video games bring her joy and peace. You see, I'm all in your business. You see that?
Yes, I appreciate that.
Have I done my research?
Yes.
That's what I do. First of all, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate.
Well,
it is nice to see you.
It's good to be here.
There's so much to talk about. I'm glad we have an hour here. So, what you were laughing when we played that clip? What were you hearing?
My career.
Yeah.
I was hearing, 30 plus years of blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice and triumphs and disappointments. And I'm a big old crybaby. So
Yeah.
I'm holding back the tears.
Oh, let it go, girl. Let it go. Let it go. How do you process, to your point, and you'll see my way. I'll follow you through this whole hour. I'm just following you, girl. How do you process when people discover you
Right.
overnight?
Yes.
And you've been at it for 3 decades.
Yes.
Talk about that part. Yeah.
I had done a pilot, let's see, that would be 2 pilots ago that I had done. And we had a dinner. We were in Charlottesville and, one of them Carolinas.
Yeah.
There's Charleston.
Where's
Where's Charlottesville? Where's that? I think we were in Charleston.
Yeah. Charlottesville, where they had to ride at.
Okay, no. So we were in Charleston. We were in Charleston.
Yeah.
And we were having a dinner. It was our first night together as a cast. And I got there a little bit early. And so the director and the showrunner, they were like, "Oh my goodness, Lacretta, we're just so happy that you're here and da-da-da-da. And I mean, we're just really excited that we discovered you." And I was like, oh. And at that point, I had made my Broadway debut.
Yeah.
I had done a movie and I had done another pilot right before that one. And I didn't really know how to answer it because they were so excited. And so I didn't want to burst their bubble. And so they asked, what had you done before this? And so I listed, well, I made my Broadway debut. I did a movie with Jennifer Lopez. I did another pilot right before this one. I'm in a Law and Order. And I could just see their faces like dropping as I named. And I'm not a name dropper at all. But as I was listening to this, my pedigree, they were like, oh. And so they're both contemplating. And I was like, but you discovered me for this project. So thank you so much for taking a chance on me.
No, but folk need to know.
Yeah.
Folk need to know.
Yeah.
And that's not about, rubbing anything in their face.
No.
But it is, in fact, about paying homage or making sure they pay homage or offer, a level of respect that you've earned to the journey that you've been on.
Yeah.
It's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's not about them thinking they discovered you.
Exactly.
I hope they didn't regard that as,
No, and we had a great time. We were down there for a month and, they celebrated my birthday with me. It was a great family.
Yeah. Now, the inverse of that question is that 30 years is a long journey.
It's a long journey.
It's taken some time.
That's a lifetime for some people.
It is. How do you process that? How do you process it from that end of the prison?
I'm proud. I'm so proud. And, I've been getting a check to perform since I was 14.
Yeah.
That's a long time. And I know that there are some child actors who I wouldn't consider myself a child actor, but children who have started way before I did. But for me, now being my own person and pretty much on my own now that my mom has passed away, for me to be able to say that I'm proud of myself is a huge deal.
Yeah. You lost your mom when?
2011.
Yeah. It never goes away.
It never goes away. And I remember I was doing Book of Mormon and was having a hard time. And I was like, I feel like a glorified set piece. And why am I doing this show? Blah, blah, blah. And my agent at the time was like, okay, well, calm down, first of all, because you're making great money. You got health insurance. You're seeing the world. And he says, I feel like there's still a part of you that is looking for that affirmation from your mom. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, let me go get one of them books and get me a little worksheet and let me work through that. Because, I think you're right. Yeah. But every once in a while, I find myself missing that affirmation. But the beautiful part about our relationship is that it's not over. Yeah. Because love and energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes. Right. So I definitely do get messages from her to be like, "You're doing good, kid.
Yeah.
You're doing good."
Your reference to the Book of Mormon raises 2 things to me, which I'll get to when we come forward. One of them is, I'll just tell you now. One of them is a thought about Denzel Washington. The big piece about Dee's a friend of mine, and was on this program not long ago, in fact. But he did the big piece about him, I should say, Sunday. What's today? Today's Tuesday?
Yeah.
So Sunday, a couple of days ago, he's on the cover of the New York Times.
Oh.
Big story about his, Othello.
Yes.
Broadway show with Jake Gyllenhaal. Get ready to jump off later this month. And Denzel said something in that interview that I want to bring to your attention in case you didn't see it, and I think it ties back to the Book of Mormon. I'll do that when we come forward.
Okay.
Glad to have Lacretta with us for the hour. One of the breakout stars of the new reboot of Night Court. Glad to have her in studio for the rest of the hour. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
California to the Carolinas. Everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SUNNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SUNNY to 200-300. That's SUNNY to 200-300. SUNNY to 200-300.
During tax season, your info travels lots of places you can't control.
W-2 arriving from payroll platform 3.
Everything criminals need to steal your identity is on your W-2.
Last call for accountant at home office. 1 minute.
LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second.
Tax preparation data centers with service to IRS. All aboard.
If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
What you want to do, huh? KBLA Talk 1580 is thrilled to share that we have been named as a semi-finalist for the coveted American Climate Leadership Awards, honoring our climate work last year. We're also delighted to announce year 2 of our Climate Justice Crusade. This year's $2 million 12-month campaign will link and combat the relationship between climate change and poor health outcomes for African Americans and the poor. Climate inequities have taken a toll with multiple health triggers in the Black community, such as extreme heat and poor air quality, made worse by the recent wildfires. Our work to ensure climate justice and climate equity continues. In the coming weeks and months, you'll be hearing a lot more about our 2025 climate campaign. To learn more about our plans for this year and the companies and organizations supporting us, log on to our website at kbla1580.com. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Lacretta, who is one of the breakout stars on the reboot of Night Court. I love Night Court the first time around. Yeah. Just as funny the second time around. Marsha Warfield was here not a few months ago. Wow. So we talked about her being there, early on.
Yeah.
So it's good to have you here in studio and a lot to talk about in terms of your Broadway career and this show, et cetera, et cetera. So this is funny because this audience hears me say this all the time. Sometimes the funny stuff, the best stuff happens during the commercial breaks. Mm-hmm. So Lacretta and I were talking during the commercial break, and we got to the point where she said that she is from
Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah. So all I said was, I'm sorry.
I said, I understand.
She said, I understand. And I motioned to Miles, my board op, to come in, and people heard him on the air yesterday. I put him on the air for 5. I gave him 5 minutes yesterday just to brag on them. Yeah. He doesn't normally come on mic, but I said, okay, here's 5 minutes, just brag about your team.
Yeah.
He had all his Eagles gear on yesterday, so I just told Lacretta, I'm sorry to hear that. But it ain't over yet. They won a few, and they'll reboot.
Exactly.
Speaking of reboots, right?
Oh, look at that segue.
See what I did there? Kansas City will reboot, and they will be back. Yeah. But since you went there, tell me about growing up in Kansas City.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm an only child.
Yeah.
Well, only child in my mom's household. And a Pisces.
Yeah.
So I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
I have a vast imagination. And growing up in the projects, that was my wonderland. It was my safe haven to be. You know, and you say that, oh, well, you grew up in the projects. Your mom got her house was shot up at one time. But to say that was my wonderland, that was my sanctuary. It was where I felt safe because I knew my neighbors. And I knew that my neighbors were looking out for me. They were protecting their neighborhood. So I never felt like, you know, I couldn't be free and safe in my own home, even though I was growing up, you know, very low income.
Yeah. Yeah. How did this is not the first time I've heard this story from thespians, artists who end up, you know, doing what you do, that they were only children. How did you probably know where I'm going already? How did being an only child and not having a bunch of playmates, as it were, in the house? I'm one of 10 kids.
Oh wow!
You're an only child.
Yeah.
How did that impact? You think, in retrospect, your imagination?
Oh, it flourished it. It nourished it. Like I had cardboard boxes. I had socks. So my mom got me a Lego McDonald's playset. No, sorry, a Play-Doh McDonald's playset. So you can make a burger, a leaf of lettuce, a piece of cheese. And I would set up my cardboard box. I cut a hole in it, and that was my drive-through window.
Okay.
And so I would run around and place an order with like one of my baby dolls. We would place an order, and then I'd run around the other side, and I would make the order, and I'd pass it through the window. Like that, hours and hours of just Barbie dolls and making dresses out of socks and, you know, random socks, not the good socks.
I got you.
If it was a mate to that sock, then we weren't cutting up those. We were just cutting up the random loose ones.
Yeah.
And so then when it came to like actually being on stage and you've got you might have wood boxes now because, you know, you've got a production budget.
Oh, yeah.
And getting to play dress up. Like it was easy for me to fall into those worlds because that's what I had done growing up. Now I had friends in the neighborhood, but I like my solitude. I like being by myself.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned solitude because I was talking to somebody not too long ago and I raised this point. So I mentioned a moment ago I'm one of 10 kids. And I had never known what solitude felt like.
Yeah.
Didn't know what the word solitude meant because I'm in a family with 9 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
My father, my mother, and Big Mama, my grandmother, who lived with us.
Yes.
So there were 13 of us in a trailer.
Oh.
A 3-bedroom trailer.
Okay.
That's how we started, right?
Yeah.
So solitude was just not a word in my vocabulary.
No.
So I go all the way through high school, no solitude. I get to college, I have a roommate, no solitude, roommates. Then I pledged a fraternity, moving to a fraternity house, definitely no solitude in the fraternity house. It's not until I leave Indiana to move to L.A. to work for the late, great mayor of this city, Tom Bradley, that I've ever lived. When I first moved here, I lived with Jim Brown, the great football player. I lived with Jim Brown for a while because Jim Brown's a family friend or a friend of a friend. I stayed with Jim for a year or two till I found a place. Then I had a roommate initially when I found my place. But the point I'm getting into is that eventually I lived by myself. And for the first few months, I mean many months, in that place by myself, I was tortured.
Yeah.
That notion of just being alone. I could hear every crack, every movement. I was scared.
You hear yourself.
I could hear myself. Exactly. The solitude thing didn't work for me.
Yeah.
For the first number of months.
Yeah.
And as time went by, when I tell you that solitude is my favorite word now, and after all these years of being by myself, I appreciate. I live a busy life. I'm in a busy space in a busy world. There's always noise around me. But when I finally, was it Neil Diamond that said that home is the most excellent place of all? Great line in one of his songs. When you get to that space where you're just alone and you have that quiet and that solitude, it means everything to me now. I can't imagine having grown up that way.
Yeah.
But I've really come to appreciate solitude over the years.
Yeah, as I get older, I'm getting better at setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And because I am a people person, I'm an introverted extrovert, as they say.
Yeah.
I do sometimes find myself spreading myself out to too many people. And so even though I do still have the sanctuary of being by myself, I feel like I have to really recharge more than I need to when I am on my own, because I've spent so much time with other people and just pouring into other people, which I enjoy doing. But when you don't have someone pouring back into you, it makes that time when you're alone much more work, as opposed to I can just put my feet up and just chill.
I get it. I don't want to move too fast without asking you or giving you an opportunity just to say a word about your precious mother. Call her name and tell about your mom.
My mother, Mary. Oh my goodness, she was crazy about me.
Yeah,
and
that means everything, doesn't it?
It means everything.
It means
crazy
everything.
About me, crazy for me, crazy protective of me, but crazy loving of me, and still crazy loving of me now. After doing Book of Mormon, which she never got to see, and I always wondered, like, what she would think about that show. And for me, that show was it came at a perfect time in my life. I was never angry at God about what happened between us. My mother had always talked about, I'm not always going to be here. So when I was acting crazy and going through the high school crazy, she was like, no, you need to calm down, because at some point you're going to have to take care of yourself. I'm not always going to be here. And I'm like, yes, you are. You're my mom. No, I'm not always going to be here. So, get yourself together so that you can stand on your own 2 feet, because I'm not always going to be able to provide for you. And I'm grateful that we had those conversations. I miss her dearly, but because she was my mother and brought me up the way that she did, like I'm always using these tools that she gave to me. Yeah. So I'm always with her in that terms.
No. You mentioned Book of Mormon a second time, which reminds me, I tell a story about Denzel. I don't forget that part, because trust me, if I don't, 18 million people will call me. So you said you were going to tell a story about Denzel and you didn't tell it. Okay, so I almost forgot about it until Lacretta mentioned Book of Mormon again. So you were talking about Book of Mormon, and I think I can tie this all together. So for those who may have seen this, Denzel's featured Sunday, as I recall, in the New York Times, in-depth article about his return to Broadway to do Othello with Jake Gyllenhaal. I think previews begin February 24th, something like that. So coming up pretty quickly here. And the reporter, David Marchesi, I think, is the reporter. David asked D how he felt about not being nominated for an Academy for Gladiator 2.
Okay.
So he's asking Denzel, how did you feel about not being nominated? Did it hurt you, or however he phrased the question? And it's a Q&A in the New York Times, and they say that Denzel laughs at the question.
Okay. And
then says the following, which I'm paraphrasing, that he was in New York. He said it occurred. He said the news came, the nominations come out. He has not been nominated for Gladiator 2. And before he could even get into any sort of feelings, he thought about the fact that on the day that he wasn't nominated for Gladiator 2, he's in New York rehearsing to do Othello on Broadway. Mm-hmm. And that put everything in perspective. Mm-hmm. No nomination.
Right.
I've been in this game a long time. Mm-hmm. So they asking me if I feel some sort of way about not being nominated. Fool, I'm in New York City in rehearsal to do Othello on Broadway at the age of 70. He did it at 20. Now he's doing it again at 70. So he steeped himself right quickly into the blessing of the opportunity he had to be preparing to do Othello on Broadway at age 70.
Right.
Long way of getting to this particular point I wanted to ask you about, which is, you mentioned Book of Mormon. That's a huge show.
It's a huge show.
I mean, the impact of that thing
is amazing.
I mean, I don't even know that at this moment we still understand or yet understand the impact that production is going to have years from now. But here you are as a part of your journey starring in the Book of Mormon. We were talking earlier about how it's been a journey. It's taken a while. But you were in the Book of Mormon.
I was in the book for 2.5 years.
Talk to me about that part.
I don't think I realized it when I was in rehearsal for it.
Right.
But it was the night that I premiered. We were in Dallas. And I got off stage and I was just like, and our general was like, oh my God, are you okay? And some men, it makes them very uncomfortable when people cry. Yeah. And I'm just in the wings, like dry heaving. Yeah. And he was like, what is wrong? And I'm like, I'm just so happy. And he was like, I don't understand you. I don't understand. Like, you're about to throw up, but you're so happy. Like, what is that? And for me, it was like in that moment, I was living a parallel life. Like, I was going through my mom's cancer and how she dealt with that diagnosis and where we were in the end and me saying goodbye to her. And also, like, taking a step outside of all of that is what I've never heard preached in church was people who got angry with God.
Ooh.
We don't want to talk about that.
No, we can go there.
We can.
We can go there. Let's go there.
He gave us free will.
Keep going.
And there are things that happen in our lives that are powerful and hurtful. And so it would make sense that if you get mad at this person for doing something to you, you could be mad at God for what has happened to you. That was never my journey. I understood that, the prayers of the righteous availeth much.
That's right.
It didn't say everything.
That's right.
And what part of this journey was for my mom? And what did she learn going through all of this? And what did I learn going through all of this? Yeah. So then when you look at Book of Mormon and you see these people, you meet these people who have just been so desensitized by murder, rape, famine, AIDS, and all these missionaries who come through and been like, hey, God, okay, bye. Hey, God. All right. Bye-bye. And they just left. But then you have this boy with this vast imagination that looks and sees that the way that it's packaged is not getting through to them. They don't understand these things because that's not their world. And so now he changed what's on this page in a way that they can understand. Yeah. And at the end of that journey over the course of 3 hours, they have found a higher power. They have found joy. Yeah. And so for me coming off and being like, I already knew that my joy was going to be impacted when my mom passed. And I had that conversation. I was like, you know what, God? I might not talk to you for a little while because this is my everything. And I'm going to have to figure out how to be Lacretta without her mom. Yeah. But I'm coming back because this is what I understand, and this is what has brought me joy, and this is what I depend on in order to order my steps on this path. Yeah. So I'm coming back. I just don't know when, but I'm coming back. And so the home health nurse, the hospice nurse that was there, he said, you know what? I don't worry about you. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, over the course of these 5 minutes that we've been talking, you've thrown your head back and laughed like 15 times. He says, I don't feel like I have that permission. Yeah. I was like, oh, well, you can definitely laugh here. Like, but that wasn't what he was saying. He was like, you have a vast amount of joy and this is going to impact that, but it's not going to go away. Yeah. You're not going to be lost in the darkness. Yeah.
There are two things I want to say in response to you about this notion of being angry with God.
Yeah.
And this is not, you don't need a lecture from me, and I'm not going to give you a lecture. That's not my place. Yeah. But I do want to tell you, because I have had to traverse that same terrain. I know there are many people listening right now who have to traverse that same terrain. I know there are folk who have lost their faith because they are so upset and angry with God about X, Y, or Z. Yeah. And there are two things I want to share. I'm looking at my clock right now. If I start sharing it right now, I'm going to get cut off. Okay. But there are two things when we come forward that I will share that I have learned, at least, and it might be instructive, informative, helpful for somebody else who is in that space trying to figure out how they retain or reboot their relationship. Yeah. And it might be helpful in that regard. So, again, when we come forward, I'll give you my assessment at least, because I've had that same had to traverse that same terrain as I said earlier. So I'll tell you what I think about that, and we'll continue our conversation. We ain't got to night court yet. See, this is what happens. When you come in studio, I'm all up in your business, asking about your mama and asking about your life, talking about Book of Mormon and all that other stuff, and I ain't even got yet to night court. She is one of the breakout stars of the reboot of Night Court. She plays Gergs. But as you can see, a fascinating backstory. And for me, it's always the backstory that informs the real conversation. Absolutely. So more of our dialogue with Lacretta when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell will testify before Congress over 2 days about the economy. Elon Musk supports replacing Powell with Ron Paul. Fort Liberty in North Carolina will be renamed back to Fort Bragg, honoring World War II Private First Class Roland L. Bragg. The change, ordered by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, reverses the 2023 decision to rename bases previously honoring Confederate soldiers. Baseball icon Alex Rodriguez is one step closer to owning the NBA's Minnesota Timberwolves. He and Mark Lore won an arbitration case against current majority owner Glenn Taylor on Monday. They now have 90 days to make the final payment and receive approval from the NBA Board of Governors. And the Westminster Kennel Dog Show is underway in New York City. Around 2,500 dogs representing more than 200 breeds are taking part in the annual event that ends tonight with the crowning of Best in Show. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Luka Doncic era with the Lakers is off to an impressive start. In the debut game for Doncic in a Lakers uniform, the Lakers dominated Utah Monday night at Crypto.com 132-113. It was the first game for Doncic since Christmas Day. He had been sidelined with a strained calf muscle. Doncic was in the starting lineup. In 24 minutes, he contributed 14 points and 4 assists. When Doncic gets in shape and loses a few pounds, Lakers Nation will see his true value. The Lakers have won 6 straight and 10 of their last 11 games. The Charlotte Hornets have asked the NBA to investigate the Lakers' physical exam of Hornets center Mark Williams. Williams failed the physical after he was acquired by the Lakers in a trade last week. The NBA rescinded the trade on Saturday, sending all players involved in the deal back to their original teams. Stay tuned on this situation. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year and their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For information on fire recovery resources, recovery hubs, and available services, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 countywide. Aid distribution locations, repopulation updates, and safety rules are constantly changing. Visit the LA City and LA County websites for the latest. If you'd like to sign up for the county's free debris removal, fill out a right of entry form, or get a list of disaster recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the business-to-business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I hope you're not in a rush to get to court. This could take a while. Arlo has more jewelry than a pawn shop after Valentine's Day.
It's okay if I'm a little late. They can't start without me. I'm the judge.
Oh, you're the new night court judge. Well, let me be the first to introduce you to me. I'm your bailiff, Donna Gerganis. Everyone calls me Gergs.
Oh, so nice to meet you, Gergs. I'm Abby Stone. I just moved here from upstate.
Judge Stone, that sounds familiar.
Maybe you heard of my dad, Harry Stone? He worked here back in the 90s. Yeah, I guess anyone who worked with my dad moved on a long time ago.
It's the reboot of Night Court, and she plays Gergs. Her name is Lacretta. I'm honored to have her in studio. Are you having fun on the set?
I'm having so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always amazing to me because sometimes these reboots work, sometimes they don't. And far be it for me to know what the recipe is for success or failure, but this one seems to be working.
It seems to be working.
Yeah.
And I think it's a testament to the relationship that we have as a cast.
Mm-hmm.
We love spending time together, and that translates on film.
Yeah. Lacretta mentioned moments ago, we were talking about her mom and this battle royale with God about his decision to take her mom. And I was saying then that there were a couple of things that I've come to realize over the years, finding myself in a similar situation about why God would allow this or that to happen. So there are two things very quickly. One is that I laugh at myself now. I found myself saying to myself one day that while I do believe, and I was raised not to do this, raised in a Pentecostal church, so we don't question God. I've grown out of that, and I'll come back. That's my second point. I'll come to that in a second. I don't believe that anymore. But my first point is that I had to say to myself one day in a moment of crisis, that I have never, ever questioned God when things were going right. Never said, God, why'd you give me another New York Times bestseller?
Oof, come on now.
What you thinking?
Yeah.
Gave me another one? Yeah. God, why'd you give me another hit talk show? God, why'd you bless me with this multi-million-dollar house? Why did you save me when I thought that plane was going down and I thought I was over with? And it took us a while, but we finally got on the runway. I have never, ever questioned God when he was doing all these beautiful things for me when things are going well. So I kind of had a moment, a light bulb moment, where I had to put that in perspective for myself. Okay, so either I'm telling God that he has to do things the way I want him to do it, or perhaps I feel I'm entitled for him to be the kind of God that I want him to be when I need him to be that. You see my point. I'll move on. So I had to still myself and speak to myself and say, you got this frame all wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing is, though, to your point about questioning God, as I said, I was raised in an environment, in a tradition where we didn't do that. And then it occurred to me, and this is why it's important, no matter what your faith tradition is, at some point you can't be on your mama's faith or your daddy's faith. You got to have your relationship for yourself.
Correct.
And when you do that, sometimes you see things a bit differently. So I've been reading the same Bible my whole life. I am an unapologetic follower of that first century Palestinian Jew named Jesus. Yes. That's who I am. Yeah. I've been reading the same Bible my whole life and being told at the same time you don't question God. Well, what was Jesus doing in the garden when he said, Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me? He didn't want to go the way of the cross. He's asking God he's questioning, do I really have to do this? But on the cross, he says, my God, why? I think that's a question. W-H-Y. Why hast thou forsaken me? So it took me years to sort of see that for myself. So I don't think that God is offended by us asking questions. You go to the New Testament. He's asked questions all the time. And he answers in what? Parables. He didn't cuss nobody out for asking questions. He just answered the question in a parable. You figure it out. Yeah. But he was asked questions in that wrapped in that panoply of flesh as Jesus, he's asked questions and he answers. So I don't mean to proselytize about this. I'm just saying that I resonate with what you're going through because I have been there. I had to say to myself, I think it's okay. I don't think he's offended by us questioning him. He just answers the question, right? Any way he chooses to answer, by parable or some other way. But I don't think we're going to hell because we ask God a question. But I also think it's important to keep in mind that if we question God or tell God, we're going to put him on hold because he did something we don't like, but not understand that we don't do that when he's blessing us.
Correct.
There's an inconsistency there.
Correct.
Does any of that make sense to you?
It makes total sense.
Okay.
Because when you seek those answers for yourself, then your roots in your faith with Christianity goes deeper. It goes deeper. We should always have questions. I remember when you're a kid in church and you're on that back pew and you've got your coloring books and your toys, you don't really check into the sermon.
That's right.
But one time that I did check in, man said, the reason why we are black is because we are a curse of one of Noah's sons. Who, Noah turned up and had a great time and was drunk. Well, that's what he was. And his oldest son came in, saw him, laughed, went to his brothers. They walked in backwards. They covered their father in respect, blah, blah, blah. And so the reason that we are black is because we are the curse of that oldest son whose skin was turned dark and da-da-da-da, and they were into slavery, basically. And at the time, I was like, oh, my, I'm a curse. And so from 8 years old to 18, I was thinking, wow, I was taking that, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't do it, but I'm carrying the burden of I am a result of. And then someone's like, why don't you just read it? You can read it. And so I went all through whatever chapter that is that they talk about Noah, and I never found that. It never said that. Yes, his son was thrown out, cast off, and his line became servants, but it didn't say anything about his skin being dark. It didn't say that. So, you got to read it for yourself because somebody will tell you anything. And if you believe it just because they're up in that pulpit, then that becomes your journey.
Tell me about the intersection. I assume there is one, given how we got in this conversation. I assume there's an intersection between your calling as an artist and your faith.
Yeah.
How's that intersection work?
It's amazing. I thought that I was going to be a preacher.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah. Wow. I have a notebook
even though you thought you were cursed.
Yes. Okay. I think I forgot about the curse, but I wanted to be a preacher.
I'm cursed, but I'm going to be a preacher anyway.
I'm going to share this word.
Okay.
And there's a notebook somewhere, and I called it my sermonettes because I didn't think I was good enough to actually do a full sermon. So it's my sermonettes.
Sermonette, there you go.
Yeah. And they were actually really good. And then
I've heard some sermons that should have been sermonettes, but don't get me started on that either. Go ahead. Yeah.
And they were really good, and part of that then was affirmed by this psychic lady who came and talked to us at our undergrad, and she was like, she has the ability to look into you, and you can see your sickness, blah, blah, blah. But like sitting with her, and sometimes because I also am a Pisces and an empath, like, you are influenced by people who are also on that spectrum.
Yeah.
And so she was like, you can see my aura, can't you? And I was like, yeah. She's like, what color is it? And I was like, it's white. She's like, yes, it is. I was like, oh my God, I'm psychic. But she had also said to me, I see you as a preacher woman, but she also said not necessarily in the pulpit. So when I look at my life and I run into people who are strangers to me and they're like, oh my God, your smile, you're just so bubbly, you bring us so much joy. Then I'm like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
So you see your work as a ministry.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm not the best example. I cuss.
Yeah.
I enjoy scotch and whiskey. But at the end of the day, like, my actions precede me. My mom always said, pretty is as pretty does.
Yeah.
And so I want to be a good person. I want to be a beautiful person. And so I do these things. These things are already in my character to be good to people, to find the good in people, to make sure that everybody's okay.
I got a friend who has a T-shirt, and I had to get one for you and send it to you.
Yeah.
And the T-shirt says, I love Jesus, but I cuss a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, you already got one of those?
No, I don't. I know that shirt.
You came too fast with that. You were too quick on that one. I said she must already have the T-shirt.
No, I seen it a couple times, and I was like, yeah, that one. Wish list.
Yeah. Her name is Lacretta. She's one of the breakout stars of the reboot of Night Court. She plays Gergs. More of our conversation with her when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
You can reach me by railway. You can reach me by trailway. You can reach me on an airplane. You can reach me with your mind.
So I'm playing this, Lacretta, because when I think of Kansas City, where you were from, two things come to mind always. First is Gates Barbecue.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie about that, man. What's your barbecue spot in Kansas City?
Mine is Jack Stacks.
Okay, Jack Stacks.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So I think about barbecue, number one.
Yes.
And there are a number of great spots in Kansas City. Yeah. Gates is just one of them. But the second thing I always think about is Olita Adams.
Really?
Yeah, because she was singing there. We were talking earlier about people discover somebody overnight. She's been playing there for years in this little club, right? Tears for Fears is in town. The group Tears for Fears, they're in town, and they were in the bar that night hanging out. So they sort of discovered Olita Adams.
Wow.
All those years after playing in that little bar.
Yeah.
And you would ultimately end up getting this.
Amazing. I love a full circle moment.
Yeah, that's what when I think of Kansas City, I think about barbecue, I think about Olita and how they discovered her in that bar.
Yeah.
And this hit comes out, of course, Brenda Russell is the original, but Olita put her thing on it, and the rest is, they say, it's just, okay, Miles, that's enough of that.
I think I had the sheet music for this.
Yeah, you think so?
I think I did.
Yeah, just well, try it up, Miles. Try it up. Yeah, try it up. It's Olita, man.
Hey!
She works this thing out. Yeah. And this is, we were talking earlier about reboots, right? Sometimes you ought to leave it alone.
Sometimes.
And sometimes you can, I ain't gonna say improve on it,
embellish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Brenda's track was amazing.
I don't think I ever heard that one.
You never heard it? Brenda Russell, the original is.
I'll look for that.
That's your assignment today.
All right. Accepted.
So Google Brenda Russell. Listen to her original, which was amazing. But sometimes people come behind you and they just steal it.
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson was in that very chair you sitting in not too long ago.
Oh!
Yeah. We were talking about his song, and then when Michael did it and just took it and owned it, so anyway. There's a story, if you didn't know, Lita Adams was discovered by Tears for Fears in a bar one night playing her piano. But Lacretta is our guest in this hour, and we are celebrating her turn as Gergs on the reboot of Night Court. How have you processed this journey from Broadway to Hollywood? For some people, it goes this way.
Right.
Some folk it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Some folk it never goes
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Or the other.
Yeah. How do you process that journey for you, Broadway to LA?
Well, and this is why I'm such a crybaby. I don't think I really have processed it. And I think it kind of sucker punches me every once in a while. Like I'll probably be crying in the Uber on the way home. But I thought that once I made my Broadway debut, that I was going to be able to parlay that into a Broadway career. And our show ended early, and that happens. And then I just kind of sat for a little while. And then I started doing more film or more television, and I did a film and more television. And I think for me, I just prayed to be successful. I want to be able to pay my bills. I want to be able to have health insurance, and I want to be able to buy myself some video games and have some fun. Yeah. And a friend of mine had posted on her Instagram, this is exactly what you prayed for. Yeah. And on the inside, I was like, I didn't pray for this. I didn't pray to move to LA. But then myself said, yeah, you did. Because you prayed to be successful. And what you thought was going to be successful was before that was being in Kansas City for the rest of your life, but getting to perform at the Coterie, at the Unicorn, at Starlight Theater. And then you went off to college, and then you moved to New York. And then that success was, I want to make it to Broadway. And then you did that. And then you thought, well, I'll just continue I'll be right here. But there was something more for me that I didn't even realize that I had originally prayed for and didn't know that that's what it was.
Be careful what you ask for.
You just might get it.
You just might get it. In our remaining moments with Lacretta, we'll talk about those video games that she referenced a couple of times. What's that about? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
This is an ad by BetterHelp Online Therapy. When it comes to relationships, we often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but it's just as important to focus on the green flags. Think about how you want a relationship to feel, one where your boundaries are respected and you're encouraged to be your best self. If you're not sure what that looks like, therapy can help you identify those qualities so you can embody the green flag energy yourself and find it in others. Because whether you're dating, married, or building a friendship, it's time to form relationships that love you back. BetterHelp connects you to a diverse network of over 30,000 therapists worldwide with expertise in a wide range of issues, from depression and anxiety to work and relationships. It's 100% online, and sign-up only takes a few minutes. Find your green flag energy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABC Radio.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
So we were talking about music a moment ago. Played some Alita Adams, who was discovered again playing in a bar in Kansas City by Tears for Fears. Obviously, we played a clip earlier of you singing actually on Night Court. You've been singing how long? Since you were in the womb?
Yeah. Listen to my mom's music through her belly.
Yeah. And you talking about your mom was in a gospel group.
Yeah, she was in a gospel group. I don't think she ever called the name of it.
Yeah.
But like when we would take car trips and the music was on, I would be the soprano, she would be the alto, and we would sing together down the road. Wow. And she had this tendency to like do like this.
There you go.
And like this.
Put
and
your
people would
hand
think that she was waving. They would wave back.
So
and
that was the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
That wasn't me waving at you.
That was not a salutation.
That was the Holy Ghost. It was not a salutation. And you were in a gospel group at one point.
Yeah, the gospel chorale.
The gospel chorale.
Yeah, we sang all through high school together.
Yeah.
Then come to find out, at my mother's memorial service, my friend from that group, well, they all came.
Yeah.
And it turned out that one of them is actually my cousin.
And you didn't know that all that time?
Didn't know that the whole time. Cousins.
See,
So it's all them secrets.
that's black folk for you. Yeah, we're not going there. We've talked about being angry with God. Yeah. We are not talking about black family secrets. And I ain't got but 2 minutes left anyway. So we are not going to do this. Let me close. I close by asking what you make of how all this has turned out. We were talking earlier about be careful what you pray for.
Yeah.
And your journey is your journey, and my journey is my journey, and everybody's journey is their journey. What do you make of this journey and how it has brought you at this present moment to being Gergs on the reboot of Night Court?
I'm in awe.
Yeah.
A constant state of awe.
Yeah.
Like I'm in awe right now sitting across from you. Mm-hmm. I get to work with people that I have watched my whole life on television, who I've listened to my whole life on the radio. And, I can be incredibly shy. Yeah. So I'm doing great right now. But again, like I said,
I wouldn't have known it. Yeah.
That Uber ride home. Well, I am a professional.
There you go.
But that Uber ride home, like my whole body is going to lock up in the back seat.
I think we should start praying right now for
Please
the Uber driver.
Yeah. He's going to be so uncomfortable.
Yeah. If you're driving an Uber listening now,
don't pick up Lacretta.
Don't pick up in Lamert Park for the next 10 minutes because you may get Lacretta in your car.
Just snot and tears.
Yeah.
and a Charlie horse in my
There you go. You might be like the guy backstage. What is wrong with you? Are you okay?
I'm so happy.
Yeah, do not pick up in Lamert Park for the next 10 minutes. Lacretta, I have enjoyed this immensely.
I had a blast.
I am so excited to know more about your backstory. Obviously, I'm rooting for everybody black, as we say. Rooting for everybody black. And I've known Marsha for years, and so for you to be in that role as Gergs is a big deal. And you're handling it.
Thank you.
You are handling it. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you nothing but the best in the months and years to come. I hope to see you again.
Okay.
You're welcome anytime you want to come.
Just call me.
All right. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for listening to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.